I was actually thinking about problems I'm having when you're talking about the happiness because I'm a teacher in
Oh
high
yeah.
school, math
Oh, wow.
teacher. So there's many times where I have to employ some kind of structure and discipline in my classroom, and I'll get sometimes I'll get angry, and I'll kind of condemn myself for getting angry, and sometimes you know even employing the discipline, you know it's like a area of
Yeah.
what's right, am I doing things wrong, am
Yeah.
I some of the Buddhist views that I might be confused about, but um, they kind of make me think like,
Hmm.
am I doing the right way?
Well, from what I remember from high school, the best teachers had the hardest job because when you give people um, somehow freedom, right? If you're a good person, there's going to be people to take advantage of it, and you're going to let people. Um, well, you're going to have to deal with a lot more because you're trying to do something that most teachers don't try to do. If you're just oppressive, repressive, and structured, um, too much, then you you don't actually allow the students to think, right? You don't actually allow them to think outside the box and become part of the system that drives people away from public education. Math teachers, I think, have it the worst because how many people like math?
There's
I
not a
like
lot.
math. There's not a lot.
No, but
But I gave my
uh,
math teachers a really hard time. I was awful.
uh, it can be a hard subject to keep the motivation going through the whole period, but
Yeah. But you know what? I say because I remember a couple of math teachers, and one of the math teachers, at some point, he would just say, "Okay, break. Everybody, put your pen down, and take a rest, because it's
mhm.
just too much thinking." That
Right.
so actually stop us from doing too much work.
And I have two classes that are kind of lower level and very unruly. So if
Uh-huh.
I know if I give them the freedom, you know,
Yeah.
it'll be chaos, and that's usually the some of the things I have to deal with, the struggles of weighing things out.
Well, you
What's
can
too
be
much?
very you can be very structured about it, no, without getting angry. I mean, that's your struggle, right? How to
Yes,
how to be
it's
how to
the
discipline them without getting
right. It's
getting.
the wanting. I guess the wanting them
Yeah.
to be a
Yeah.
certain way, not so then I am getting a certain way about it.
Indeed. I could never. I don't think I could ever imagine teaching children again. Because sometimes they bring kids to me to teach them meditation, and it's just the most horrible experience because the kids aren't interested. They're not
Hmm.
looking for me to teach them meditation. There was one case where this mother, really good person, really, she's a wonderful, really, I have the greatest appreciation for her. And she has two kids, young kids, and she had gained so much from the meditation that she was so keen to pass it on to them. And so she made a bargain with her son that I can't remember what it was. She would do something for him if he came and spent a day with me. I think I was a part of the bargain. I must have talked to her about it. And this isn't at all related to what we're talking about, is it? But it's a funny story. And I had him in my room. I was hanging out with this kid all day, and was doing my thing. I was sitting in meditation with him, or I was answering emails or whatever I was doing, and I think I left the room at some point. But his job was to do walking and sitting for the whole day. That kind of worked. Um, But I think my point was that that was kind of the exception. When you get the point was that he had some impetus for doing. It was kind of like the carrot. He had a carrot leading him on. For most kids, there isn't that. Um, so they bring a whole group of kids to me and say, "Well, now you have to do this meditation," and they're not really interested in it. They're not there because they want to practice. They're there because part of the curriculum, and that's really tough. So when you've got these kids in math class, well, do any of them want to learn math? Probably very few. That's really
Right.
the whole problem with the public school system is that the kids don't want to learn. They don't want these. They don't care.
Hmm.
Which, I think that's maybe the point is you have to address that. You have to instill a sense of care, which some parents I think are successful with by fear or by carrots or sticks. Um, like this whole idea that, well, if you work hard in school, you can get a job and make lots of money. That's what turned me off of school the most, is that I didn't want a job and I didn't want money. I couldn't imagine, oh my dear sweet God, I don't know what you say, what the Buddhists say. Oh dear me, goodness me, that's not what I want. That was the most horrific thing in the world, to think that I would have to get into the, not to think that I have to get a job. I don't mean it in terms of being lazy. It was just getting stuck. That was the whole point. Um, but that carrot doesn't seem to be that effective. Um, it's effective in keeping kids in school, but it doesn't make them want to learn math anymore.
Hmm.
So I don't know if this isn't related to the original question, but I think it's kind of useful for teachers is to think about that how do you get them to want to learn math? How do you make it something that is of interest to them?
Well, I mean, there's ways of teaching it that are, I guess, more interesting than others, but when you get down to it, it's still math. And the hard part is when you do have kids that do are trying to, you know, understand it, and then you have a different section who are impeding that
Yeah, yeah.
by way of distractions and stuff, and that's where you get tested a lot too. But you want to help the kids that want to get it, and at the same time, you don't want to, get angry or hurt in any way.
Mm.
The ones that don't want to do it, but just thought I'd ask if there was any views on that.
Have a meditation session before class. Spend the first 10 minutes meditating. Can't you do that?
Yes, I've tried that.
Right?
Some classes
Does
it
it
works
work?
better than others, but I'll do like 2, 3 minutes of just
Mm.
you know focusing on the belly, or sometimes I let them choose a sound, maybe the clock ticking, just something to put their mind on. Hearing, one of the senses. But again, like you said, when the kids really don't want to do it, it's
Yeah,
even
I mean, sometimes you can even, I've heard, if I remember correctly, teachers saying that, look, I know you don't want to do it, but I have a job to do here.
right.
I know this is not interesting to you, but can we just, you know, have an agreement that this is my class and you're not going to disrupt it, kind of thing. I don't know, somehow reach out to them and make it practical and look, this is painful for you and painful for me, but can we not try to get through it together or something? I don't know. How do you reach these kids? There's got to be a way.
I'm
But
searching.
for sure, the teachers have it the hardest. A teacher that's why it makes an excellent precursor to meditation. Um, I don't have, well, it makes sense, but objectively or empirically, the observation is that people who are public school teachers, teachers of anything, tend to have a much easier time in meditation because of what they had to put up with and because of the goodness that comes from it. You're really helping people. Um, you're changing them much more than much more than most professions. You're really um, doing good deeds. for the kids, not just by giving them math, but by being their teacher. You're their mentor. You're someone. You're molding them. You're shaping them. You're helping them cultivate, the ability to learn. A good teacher is someone who teaches kids how to learn. Doesn't just give them information, but teaches them some very valuable skills.